Good afternoon, and welcome to the Great Employees Matter weekly podcast. This is the weekly podcast that focuses on the personal development of employees, the professional development of employers, which in tandem results in more confident individuals, more employee-centric leadership, and greater success for all concerned. My name is Jimmy Bingham, and I, along with my co-founders Kobe Dumas and Lloyd Dix, are thrilled to have a much anticipated great conversation with our guest of the week, Damon Didier. Damon is the owner, the founder of a company called Win at Ecommerce. He's been a marketing executive in this space for over 15 years. When he founded it, he wanted to found a company, and he'll go into great detail about all of that, using email marketing, and was I would consider you to be a bit of a pioneer, Damon, in pulling that all together. So we're going to have a great conversation today about email marketing and about his company. His company construct is a little bit different because almost all of his employees are contract employees. And we'll talk about that and how he's able to effectively manage them and keep them motivated. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Kobe.
No worries. I appreciate it. Thanks. Welcome everybody to our podcast today. So if you're just joining us, please make sure you like, subscribe, share the channel if you like the information that we're doing. We're trying to grow this for you. If you have any suggestions, questions, or show ideas, please get in contact with us. We're going to be active in the comments also. So if you want to share or ask our guests any questions, please feel free to do so. And then we'll go from there. But my first question is basically, welcome, Damon. I'm excited to talk to you today. And so the main question that I always start off with is mainly your journey. Who are you? Where'd you start? So where'd you grow up? Your schooling? We're just going to start from the beginning. You could go one at a time, but where'd you grow up?
Thanks first off, everyone, for having me here, and great question, Kobe. So I grew up in Central Florida, actually in Tampa, Florida. Went to USF, University of South Florida, and graduated with a degree in management information sciences. Ever since I was a little guy, I knew I'd go into computing somehow, but the idea of being stuck behind a computer all day programming really didn't appeal to me. And I love the business aspect of dealing with people and working with people, both, inside a company, those people, and then externally talking back and forth. So I found myself during my college years, my formidable college years, working at a retailer called CompUSA. So I started off as a technician, quickly moved to customer service, and then sales management. Was the youngest sales manager there. And when college got out, I figured I'd go work for a tech company, but instead I loved retail. It gave me an opportunity to manage people. There's a lot of good and bad about retail, but what's wonderful about retail is at a very young age, you get a chance to work with and mentor, coach, train, discipline people. And I learned some really great skills, and CompUSA was a hotbed for that at the time. This is the late 90s, early 2000s, and kind of went from there. So here I am and all that.
Yeah, so CompUSA, I remember that. I'm a little older. I know that's a computer place, right? And you said retail. You love retail. That's odd. Most people that are in retail, especially long term. I was a corporate manager for several years. That's not the response that you get from most people. So I kind of want to dive into that a little bit. You said that you really got into that. You're doing retail and managing people. You didn't have that before? Did you develop that by working? You just got it through working? Was CompUSA your first job?
Yeah, I worked as a teenager. I'm from Tampa, so I worked at Busch Gardens, did my little stint at Pizza Hut. But my first career was there and at CompUSA. And what was great was I was working there while I was going to college. So I would take my accounting class, and then I'd go to CompUSA and look at a real P&L and see exactly what's going on there, right? Then I had my business management class on how to properly motivate and do all that, which I could then turn around and go to work and literally try out what I learned in class and, put it to use. So it worked really, really well. And as soon as I got out of college, they transferred me in a short time period to Tallahassee, Florida, where it's Florida State University. So I was the youngest sales manager at the time in the company, managing a store as the number 2 key holder, with 30, 40 employees in there, and, really learned commission sales environment, managing commission salespeople and all that. And I loved it. Of course, it's hard. I didn't have weekends off. It was really tough on personal relationships, especially in your 20s. But the knowledge I got out of it was immeasurable.
Yeah, sounds like it. So what took you from managing and going there into email marketing and strategies? I mean, I know people are the common denominator. You seem to work well with people, but what took you directly into email strategies, which we're interested in as well?
Sure. Yeah. So it wasn't a direct line to email. During my time in retail, what I loved was with my salespeople, I could train and coach them and then immediately see an effect on sales. So if my team was, not doing their job, it shows up in the sales numbers. If we didn't merchandise and lay things out, like in retail, anything below your knee or anything above your eyeballs are lower margin. The main area you want to put high margin items are right there. We would set the aisles in price point order. When you first go into an aisle, it's the highest margin, highest dollar item. And as you go deeper into the aisle, it goes lower and lower. And end caps, those are always the highest margin items.
Right.
And I love that kind of, I would say manipulation, but manipulation of the customer in so much that you could change their buying behaviors. So when CompuSay went under in 2007 and 2008, I looked for my next opportunity, and it was as a director of marketing for a company with some people that had come from CompuSay. They knew my record at the company, and they were willing to give me a shot there. So I went into that environment, and one of the tools in my tool bag was email marketing. So it was the company we were in sold wheelchair vehicles, and we started off with 4 locations, and by the time I left, we had over 22 nationwide and over 7 states, and doing over $100 million a year in sales. And in that environment, I took a lot of what I learned from retail, not only managing people. I had a small team of marketers that worked for me, but also kind of that ability to know that I have control over my destiny through marketing and pulling levers. And at the time, this is 2008, 2009, MailChimp was the big guy in town. And it was a phenomenal way for me and my small marketing team to multiply our abilities, and with a small group of people, have that one touch, multiple output approach to really layer in messaging, drive traffic to our 22 locations, and to do a lot of really crazy stuff with just, very little labor. So that's really what sparked my interest in email marketing.
Awesome. Hey guys, I'm gonna stand down and let you guys take over.
Lloyd, you ready to jump in?
Sure. So Jimmy and I are both old school, and I used to stand out there with the mail. What used to happen was somebody would come to the house and would knock on the door or go to the mailbox, and this guy had a blue and white truck, and he would actually put these envelopes in our mailbox. and we actually got, I don't know if they do that anymore, but we did. When that guy came, I would go there and I would take the envelopes out, and I would go through the envelopes, and without even opening them, I would sort them. These are the bills. These are the junk mail that I'm never going to open. That's just going to go right from my mailbox into the trash can. And these are the things that I don't know what they are. And now that I have email, I do the same thing with my email. A lot of it, if I don't know who it is or I don't know what the story is, just gets deleted. And so my question to you as an email marketer is, how do you get me to open your email when I don't know who you are?
That's great. Well, that's a very good question. So the way that email marketing works is it's permission based. So there are laws around it, of course, can spam and some other laws, but just cold emailing someone out of the blue without any permission at all is completely against email marketing. And there are laws against it. And unless you've opted in some way or another, you're not supposed to get those emails, right? On top of that, Gmail, Yahoo, a lot of these providers today do a great job with that. And I'm sure you all are familiar with this. If you're not part of a trusted list, you go automatically to the spam folder and you never see them, right? So that's what happens today. And it's getting smarter and smarter with AI. What I specialize in with my company are those permission-based marketing, where you go to a website and then there's a pop-up, or maybe you check out, and upon checkout, you check a box and say, I give you permission to market to me. Because at the end of the day, we don't want to treat your mailbox, your email inbox, like your mailbox where you're just sending a bunch of junk mail in there. When you got junk mail from the blue and white guy coming up to the door, you throw that in the trash, and that's expensive. And the same can be said this way as well. Deliverability is massively important today. So when we send out a massive blast on behalf of a customer, if Gmail, Hotmail, Yahoo, whatever, doesn't see their users and the first few hundred or so people opening and engaging with the email, then all of those other sends start going to your promotions folder or spam or other places. So it's really like an art and science to get it to deliver.
And what magic tricks do you have that, obviously I don't want you to spill the secret sauce. We still want people to use your company. But what magic tricks do you have to make sure that yours gets opened?
Yeah, great point. So here's the answer. If you're listening or watching and you're a small business owner, the number one thing you can do is add a pop-up onto your website. A pop-up, a little simple form that just asks only for the email. Don't ask for a bunch of information. Just ask for the email. And then in return for that person's email address, which your customers are smart, they know they're giving up a little bit of their anonymity, you need to give them something back of value. So on e-commerce sites, you usually see a % discount off your first purchase. But if you don't have the ability to do that, give them something back of value, a secret, a PDF of value, something that your potential customer wants in return. So it's like the first step, right, in the process of trade. And so this is a secret, and I'm happy to give it away, is we generally, if it comes down to a discount, is we don't tell them the amount of the discount. We say you've unlocked an exclusive discount, or you've unlocked an exclusive reward. The wording changes based upon the client. And then they have to check their email to get it. Because that's important, because what happens is when that person goes to their email, opens the email, and then clicks on the little shop now button or the little button with the discount code attached, then you're telling the email platform, whether it's Hotmail, Gmail or Yahoo, these guys are okay with me, time to go. So that's like step one, and 100%. So, again, if you're going to be doing a PDF delivery, it should be delivered via email to the person, not delivered on your site, delivered through email. So they have to open the email and go that way. And again, that's just telling the platform, this guy's okay. And that's just the first step. There's a number of other things to be done. I really think the overarching goal here is respect your people. So don't just send them nonsense. If you don't have something that's newsworthy, don't send something. If your offer isn't good, don't send it out. Respect their time. Heck, it's retail 101. Treat people how they would like to be treated, right? That's the platinum rule. So not how you want to be treated yourself, treat them better than that. How do they want to be treated, and treat them that way? And that's like the golden rule for email marketing, like it is for retail.
So I have one quick comment and then my patented softball question. So my quick comment is, I always tell people when it fills out the form and it says, who do I call in case of emergency? I always tell them the hospital, because nobody in my family is answering a call from an unknown number. So if God forbid something ever happens, just call the hospital directly, because my family's not answering the call. And then my patented softball question, which is really easy. Something you don't have to think about, something which you've known since, third grade, which is, why are all my devices listening to me? And what is this garbage where they start suggesting things based upon what they're hearing? The corollary to that, are they really reporting me to the NSA or the FBI or the CIA? And is it just that my whole house is wired and I'm being spied upon?
Lloyd, you lied to me. That's not the softball. That's the tough ball. So the curve. So yeah, this is the ultimate place we're at right now. Is is Facebook listening to me? Why is it I talk to my friend on the phone and then tomorrow I go on Facebook and the item we were talking about is right there? And there's a very straightforward explanation for that. And yes, like no, they're not listening to you. But yes, the data that is collected about you is pretty smart right now. And frankly, Facebook, Lloyd, doesn't care about you individually. I hate to say that. You're anonymized. You're a blip on the screen. You're an anonymized string of characters, as am I. And it's not being sold to the NSA, at least to my knowledge. Ultimately, all they care about is selling you an ad. And I think, in my somewhat biased opinion, I'd much rather have an ad for a product that I'm at least somewhat interested in versus just some shotgun items thrown at me that I could have no care about. And let me kind of explain how email fits into this, because this is actually where email's at today. This is like email in 2024. So what you're saying is like privacy concerns. Google and Meta and all those ad platforms are what's called, third-party data sources. They're not in your website, they're external. Email is first-party data, and it's first-party versus third because you have to give email permission. So when you give that email over and click submit, you are specifically stating to that website, I'm giving you permission. So that's really powerful. So what's happened now is that email now is kind of the nucleus of your online profile. And in the tool that we use a tool called Klaviyo. That's our email platform that we use. It's the nucleus now, and it can connect to Meta, TikTok, Google, all of those, and then shares your email address if you're there on those platforms already. And it says that's who you are. And then it could be the nucleus to hold your information and send it out. Again, Lloyd, does it care about who you are? No, but it does know that you came to look at my widget on my website and that you might be interested in it. Likewise, back to the Meta example and the Facebook thing, is Facebook has a set of ads called lookalike ads, and birds of a feather flock together. So what would happen is, Lloyd, maybe you come to my site looking at my tennis shoes on my widget site, and you leave and don't think about my site again. Well, you hit it, and then that little email of yours goes over to Meta, and it matches against your Meta profile. And then it says, who are all of Lloyd's friends? And how is Lloyd on the knowledge graph, open graph, connected to everybody? And what an advertiser could do is say, well, one, I want to advertise to Lloyd, or two, I want to find 1% of people in the United States that look like Lloyd, heaven forbid. So then all of a sudden, it's just 1 degree of separation out there for people that look like you, which more often than not are going to be your friends and family and people that might be interested in the same shoes you just looked at, the tennis shoes on my site. And that's where the magic comes from, is because all of a sudden now people connected to you that you might have had a phone call with suddenly start seeing ads. They'll disappear after a few days because no one wants to waste money on an ad that's not clicked. But that's kind of how the connections all go together.
Boy, you just scared the heck out of me. Jimmy?
I mean, this has been around for like years and years and years. And, I would say, all the people that I interact with, they're not nefarious. And the clients that I represent, we want to sell something, right? So if you don't click it, it just disappears. It goes away. Like that spammy email. Don't click the darn thing. Just let it disappear, and it'll slowly, go away into obsolescence.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I have a few questions, and I'm going to go back to some of your opening remarks, back to CompUSA. So you talked about, learning a lot of your skill sets and stuff from that experience. What did you learn about people in that environment?
One of my mentors told me that people don't care about you until you show them that you care about them. So you've got to show people that you care about them first before they're willing to give a darn about you. And I've read a lot of books that say the exact same thing, likely more eloquently than I just did. And the idea is that ultimately we're working with people, whether they're local and working in a retail store with you, or in my environment today where I've got people working all over the world at all different time zones. And, just today alone, I had multiple team members come to me today with personal things that are going on in their lives. Now, I don't pry into what it is. It's not my business, but people have things going on. So it's really important that they know that I care about them. I share things going on in my life too, and good and bad. And we got to realize that we're all human beings here, and that we're organic organisms, and we're social beings. And that's always served me well, both in retail and my business today.
Do you see that there's a different challenge in the fact that most of your staff are remote in dealing with the people issues?
Oh, yes. Culturally, there's a lot of differences. I have a number of people in the Philippines, for example, and they're just culturally, they're different. They do have a lot of similarities to Americans, which is great. And they know like our holidays and a lot of that. But at first I tried some of them out to write some copy for emails, and it's just all kinds of messed up. So today, all my copywriters are American, just because there's like a lot of little nuances that seem okay, but someone who's a Native American can immediately pick it up. Beyond that, they are, a lot of them are used to working in a remote environment more so than me. So they are more adept at the online world. And a lot of them already have like multiple jobs that they're working, where they work for me for a couple hours a day, then they jump to somebody else and somebody else. So I've got to be cognizant of their time, that I'm not dictating or demanding that they do something here and now, because they might have another responsibility with another employer. So it's really important in my experience to set expectations up front and kind of go from there. One other biggie is a lot of the overseas people tell me that American businesses have taken advantage of them. So I pay all my team members every single week, so that as soon as they start with me, they immediately get payment, within a week. And so they build that trust up with me, and they know that I'm not going to just stiff them for the hard work that they did for me. But I think what's really important, though, is you can find highly talented and skilled people all over the world and really work on a 24-hour cycle by doing so.
Outstanding. I hadn't really thought of it until you just mentioned the whole copywriter component of it, because I would suspect then, rather than you having your customers write their own copy, you do a lot of that writing for them, or they give you an outline, a framework, and you fill it in. So given that is an integral part of your business, how have you seen AI affect it, positively or negatively? We know how we use AI, and I imagine it's a great tool in your environment.
Sure. Yeah. There's no denying AI. I think, originally it was kind of like a novelty. It's like the first time you use Siri, you get all excited. You saw Siri or Google Assistant, and then you go and you ask a couple quick queries, and like, what's the weather? And it's like, okay. And then, how long is it going to take for me to drive to here and there? But then you step outside the bounds and ask something slightly complex or complicated, and then Siri completely, flubs it, right? And that was my experience with AI in the beginning. I will tell you today, though, as you likely are aware, it's way better than it used to be, but I still don't think it's perfect. So my copywriters today, we use AI to get us started. So whether it's ideation, whether it's like a first rough draft, we use AI to get us there. But even today, it's not perfect. It's got to get polished up. And, my copywriters were really concerned when AI became a big thing about a year ago. I've made a dedication to my copywriters that I'm not cutting their pay. I'm not reducing what they make, but I do expect them to do really, even better quality work for our clients. And our cost structure is built as such. So, so I think on one hand, AI does a great job of helping us write copy, but even like the early days of AI, it's not perfect. It's got to be really polished up. And I've got professional copywriters that, write long form blogs and all that, for a living on payroll, and every single email still goes through them and gets changed up quite a bit. Yeah. So, yeah.
Great. Kobe, I'm going to turn it over to you. I've got, as we do these, Damon, I keep writing down questions. So I have a whole laundry list. So Kobe, you take over for a second.
Oh, I can hear you, Kobe. Oh.
You're muted, Kobe. There you go.
I'm going to unmute, so I don't know what happened. But anyways, I think this is all fascinating. We just started 2 companies and we're starting to get into our email marketing campaign. So I'm super focused on every single word coming out of your mouth, to be honest, but I think we're on the right track. But with that being said, my questions are more, so first, let's do some, there's a guest question that came from Sachi. Let me get there real quick.
Sure.
I'm so sorry. Here we go. So Sachi's comment is, thanks. It says, consumer behavior is changing rapidly, especially post-pandemic. How have you updated your email marketing strategies to meet the evolving needs and expectations of consumers? Now, you spoke a little bit about it. Now I'm starting to hear a little bit. You have some remote workers. You probably have a nice amount of people working for you, which brings a whole nother slew of questions. But with everything happening post-pandemic, which you probably grew in that way after the pandemic started, what are those strategies for email marketing, and how do you keep your consumers engaged with that?
That's exactly it. So, a lot of our clients did exceptionally well during the pandemic. They were all, people were obviously shuttered into their homes. So a lot of hobby-based businesses had explosive business, and they kind of just ran with it and just did great. And what they found was that once the business kind of returned back to normal, that they had to rely back on staples like email marketing again. In my world, we say retention's the new acquisition. The big thing that's happened post-pandemic is the cost of acquisition, acquiring new customers, has continually gone up. And that's rough. So whether it's Google, Meta ads, SEO, or whatever, those prices are not coming down. The answer is to go back to retention-based marketing, email marketing, SMS marketing, loyalty, rewards, reviews, all of that, to continually sell more and expand the basket out to those consumers that you're already shopping with. In my world, it's been my agency getting deeper into that aspect of the world so that we can better engage those people on their terms. What I think is also a big paradigm shift beyond the pandemic that came right after it is the AI shift. And the way that we've approached it is segmentation and really finding, a very minute group of people at scale and talking to them on their terms. So to give you an example, Jimmy just asked about AI for copywriting. So that's a logical place to start, but AI can do a really good job at looking at large data sets. So now we look at our data sets of post-purchase data, of demographics, psychographics, social metrics, and then run that through correlation inside of our AI tools, whether it's ChatGPT or Claude. And then we come back and create personas off of that. And with that, have more personality that talks to the customer. And then so it's a new way of like dynamically segmenting towards our customers and speaking to them on their terms. And it's not always easy, but the tool we use, again, Klaviyo, for email marketing allows us to do what are called dynamic content blocks. So if that person has a special tag in there, or property, we're able to kind of change out what we say to them. So I believe, to kind of in short, would be to say that a lot of companies have now really relied on the retention aspect of their buyer's journey, and then the segmentation and getting really deep in to making sure that we're segmenting based on persona and other behaviors to really speak to the person. And it goes back to Lloyd's question too. Like, ultimately, everybody who's watching this and is talking to me now, you all have had a magical email that seemed to probably come out of the blue like a genie out of a bottle that was perfectly timed, looked great and had a message that resonated with you, and you clicked on it. That's the goal. And it's not magic. It's all based upon data and data science, AI and the tools and all that. And that's what we strive for, is to push that button at the right time and make it seem like magic.
Now, do you use a lot of automation in your email marketing?
Absolutely. Yeah. It goes back to what I said about MailChimp when I was started to work on this back in 2008. For any size business, it's necessary to have automation. In Klaviyo, we call it flows, but whether it's a drip or a flow or automation, absolutely. For e-commerce, there are 6 main flows that we recommend that you start with. But for some clients, we have up to 20 flows that hit at all kinds of different times.
Man, that's crazy. I can talk to you forever because I'm looking at you as a client. So I mean, us being a client. But anyway, I'll let one of the other guys take over.
Lloyd?
I just wanted to talk with you about something that you said, and it talked about that, most people don't care about you and you have to care about them first. And I'm wondering if you're just limiting that to the employer-employee situation. Every day I get up, I watch the Today Show. They always have the feel-good story. It's always somebody that's lost everything. They started a GoFundMe page. They were looking for $10,000, $20,000, and all of a sudden they got $250,000. And then you look at the other things. St. Jude has never sent anybody a bill, right? Your kid got cancer, you go to St. Jude, they take care of you. All these things are donation based. And I'm the optimist of the group. I always believe that my glass is always half full. So I want to know, when you said that, you started me thinking, what if you don't care about somebody, or do you have to care about somebody first? And I think that that's more true in the employer situation, where people come to get a job, to get money, than it is just in general. I just wonder if you would talk about that and how those two interplay.
Sure. So what I learned in retail and I brought to my company today is there's 3 main constituents we care about. We care about, the team, each other. We care about our clients, and then we care about the company. And the company is actually, last. So in each of those 3 constituents, you're going to spend more time with some of them more than the others. And the one you spend the most time with is the team. So when I say that, we care about, the time I invest in my team is the most important to me. And especially as I've gotten older, I give a lot more grace to my team members than I did when I was a young, impetuous, 20-something, right? But everyone's got something going on in their lives, and I think it's really important to understand them and where they're coming from before you rush to conclusions. Now, I'm not perfect. I'm sure I still rush to judgment at times, but I also think it's really important that you have a relationship with your team so that they do know that you care, and it'll pay dividends in their output and how much they care about working with you. But it also does play out in our company with our clients. So one of the areas that was really important to me, again, coming back from my retail days, I was always big about customer service and, taking care of the client. And that became increasingly important as we were fighting against Best Buy and Circuit City and all these other companies. Service was what made us different, in my opinion. Our clients today, our account managers, are all in America, right? So every one of them is in America. Our account management happens there. Our SLA for responding to a client is a very short time frame, and we keep track of that and look at it. In my mind, we want to bend over backwards to make a client happy. And we have a saying here, it's do what's right. And again, it goes back to those three constituents. When a team member is empowered to make a decision, I ask them to do what's right. And that's highly vague, and I know it. But if there's ever a problem, and I look at what they did, the outcome of their decision, and I think it's the wrong one, we'll have a discussion, and then I'll say, okay, why did you do this? And if they say I did what's right, it's those three constituents that I'm looking for: the team, the client, or the company. And who are you trying to do what's right for it? And, I always tell them, if they're taking that in consideration and articulate it properly, they have a free pass. I may not agree with it. And in the discussion, we'll talk about those three constituents and say, well, you didn't think about the company at all in that one when you gave away this and that. But at the end of the day, I have found that it gives a good, like, four walls, if you will, for my team members to know where they can play and not have any fear of authority or retribution from this guy. Ultimately, they're given the authority to make a decision they need to make in the spur of the moment without waiting for other decision makers to have to come in. And I think that kind of goes all back to my taking care of the team members and all that.
So I've got another comment for that, or actually two comments, and then my second softball question for you. So my two comments are, number one, yes, you are perfect. Kobe thinks you are perfect. Kobe is responsible for our emails, and he's just over there soaking all this up. So yes, you are perfect, and Kobe definitely thinks so. The second thing is, that's the second time that I've heard about that, the employees being able to make decisions. Herb Kelleher at Southwest Airlines empowered all of his customer service people to make decisions to keep the customer happy without having to go any further up the chain. And it really helped put Southwest on the map, because if you got hurt somewhere, they didn't have to go ask anybody. They didn't have to go say, hey, I want to put Jimmy on a later flight because his earlier flight was canceled. You were just able to do it and to do all that. And I think that model worked out very, very well for him. And then my next softball question is, we have so much trouble communicating. Communication is so basic. We all speak the same language, and yet more wars, more things are started because people miscommunicate. Right. And in dealing with your email, you have to be very careful. So again, the softball question: what's the secret to effective communication?
It's so easy. What a softball. So we have a DNA that we created for the production of our emails, and it all goes back to cognitive load. So the way that we see it is, our customer's customers, the person getting the email, has got a lot going on. The last thing you need to do is read a long, exhaustive email about how your company started and how your grandmother baked the first batch of cookies 30 years ago. The truth is, they don't care. They just want the discount code to give them 10% off their first batch of cookies. So give them what they want. So these are some more secrets. So what we do is, in our DNA, at the top of the email, above the fold, so even on a mobile device, you can think about it that way, you should be able to open up your phone, click the email, and then immediately above the fold, see the exact action the client wants you to take. Whether it's Labor Day sale, 10% off, whether it's, click here and refer a friend, whatever, it's right there. It's clear, concise, and punchy. And this is a lot of what we use AI for, is to ideate a bunch of ideas. Then our team takes it and goes from there. Beneath that part, we then write more copy, but still we're talking 2 to 3 sentences is what our average is beneath that fold. That goes into a little bit more depth, maybe about the sale or why we chose Labor Day or something like that, or, recognizing our veterans or our hardworking people out there. Again, with a button. And another thing is, every time you scroll down, it should be a button with a clear call to action. That may not be like shop now, but it might be learn more, or a softer call to action. And then beneath that little wordy section will be like a cross section of products. We have the ability to grab dynamic products based upon that person's search history and inject it right into the email. So then they'll see the products that they recently searched for right there, because those are the ones they're most likely to buy. And then they go from there. And then we do like icons for the value statement. ultimately
most likely to buy.
It's all a recipe. It's a prescription, very prescriptive every time, kind of doing the same thing. And within those confines, our graphic designers and our copywriters are allowed to play as much as they want and have some fun in there. So that's what we do there. I will also say, when it comes to communication, is we do the persona activity to learn more about what our customers need, but we also A/B test. So even though we think we're pretty bright, we don't know. And I've learned, the older I get too, that I don't have all the answers. If I'm right 50% of the time, that's pretty good. So now my response usually is to like, hey, what should we write here? It's let's test. So let's throw our best 2-3 ideas out there and then A, B, C, D multivariate test it and see what wins, because like, what do I know? Like, ultimately the customer will decide. And, to kind of finish this up, a beautiful email with great copy that doesn't sell a darn thing in the e-commerce world is garbage. It's a waste of time. So our goal, for a sales-based email is to sell. And if it doesn't do that, we failed. And so there's that post-mortem, if something like that happens, to make sure we don't make that mistake again.
Jimmy?
I'm going to go back to employer-employee relationship and management. What do you run into situations where you have customers, in particular new customers that come into your fold and into the Win at e-commerce fold, right? Do you have customers that might be named Jimmy and they're 68 years old and they've done things the way they've done them for 50 years and they're just resistant to your recommendations? How do you deal with that?
I think all businesses have to deal with something like that, right? It's overcoming objections. It's tough to just give a blanket response, because I think every situation is unique. I will tell you, when it comes to email marketing, I'll go back to my A/B testing. A lot of times, clients will give me a suggestion, and they're going to stand on their mountain and put their flag in and say, this is the way it's going to be. And if it's possible, I'll just suggest a test. Like, hey, perfect. Many times our customers know their business 100 times better than I do. I'm a new guy. So I'll say, listen, I believe this, you believe that. What if we do a test? I think it's important, though, Jimmy, that we have that open dialogue, that they feel open to suggest those things, that they know that they're being heard by us, and that likewise, we are positioning ourselves as experts, and that we hold our ground to a degree. I think in my early days of this business, I was very quick to be like, oh yes, you know your business really well, let's do that. But you do that enough, and then the client thinks that you're no longer an authority. They think that we can easily, I'm going to say, be pushed around, but we don't have any, principles when it comes to what we're doing. So that's why we oftentimes go to the A/B test, or we say, we'll try that this time and this time do that, or we try to find a middle ground. But that's how we usually handle those things.
Does that hold true for platform as well? Because it sounds like you use Plavia as your platform for email management. Do you have customers that say, no, we want to use our platform, we just want your advice on it?
Yes. Once in a while we do talk to people that are where they're at. We won't work with them. We just won't. Okay. I've tried them all. I was on the client side, throughout my entire professional career up until I started Win 3.5 years ago. And, if there's a better email marketing platform for e-commerce, I will change the whole company to go there instead. As of right now, it's Klaviyo. I will say I'm actually taking a call with a competitor on Friday of this week to see what they have. If they have something new and better that I think is better than Klaviyo, guess what? Buy Klaviyo, I'll move. Like, I want to do what's best for my clients. And I believe my clients pay me to spend that time, effort, and energy to find the best tool. So that's why we do it.
Man, you sound so much like me. You're gonna go wherever the benefits are for the client. You're gonna go there. You're not married to anything.
No.
So,
I told you Kobe thought you were perfect. So,
man, I'm just listening, right? And whenever I'm quiet, that means my mind is going. So, and right now, I can't catch up with everything that I'm thinking of and what's coming out of your mouth. We need a whole another meeting. But I love everything that you're saying, by the way, especially with the empowerment as far as employees. So I think that that's very important. Coming from retail at a corporate level, and I had managers as direct reports in my stratosphere, and so I think that the more I was able to empower somebody to make the decisions without having to worry about coming up, and then just dealing with whatever decision that came out, if it was an adverse decision, we just go and discuss it and find out, just like you said, how did we come to this decision, and then give them the right one, but we give them the power to make the decision, right? So I agree with that. But back to the email stuff, I'm just blown away. So what's the company name that you said?
So we are Win, WIN, at Ecommerce. So win at ecommerce.com.
No, I'm talking about the one that you use for your email marketing.
Klaviyo. Klaviyo, Klavio.
Right.
Klaviyo.
So if that's who Win is using, that's who I want to look into, right? And so for our own marketing, we have some pretty good tools, but I'm just curious now. I'm going to go and look into that. And then when you have your meeting, if you can follow back up with us and let us know if you're making that switch.
Do all of our work for us and help
let
us
us know if you're making that switch. So we'll go from there. But no, I love all of this that's coming out about email marketing, and it seems like you have remote employees and probably some regular employees as well. And it seems like you got a whole. I mean, our whole environment is about great employees. Right now, today, I've been taking a lot of this time to actually learn from you about the actual processes of email marketing and getting that stuff out there. But at the end of the day, we're interested in how you run your company, how you communicate. It's people are the answer is the name of this whole podcast today. And so I think that just my comment is that I'm very inspired by what you're doing on email marketing and on managing your employees as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to one of the other guys. Thank you.
I'll jump back in. I have a few questions. I'm just going to state a couple of them, and then I'm going to ask a specific one. I was going to ask, how do you grow and scale a business using email marketing? And I realized when I wrote that down, well, that's another hour. So we can come back and have you on as a guest again to do that. Then I was going to ask what the latest email trends are. And I said, well, that's probably 45 minutes, so we can defer that one. But I do have one that I think is a good general interest type of question, and maybe contrary to what your corporate marketing goals are, what Win at e-commerce goals are. But the question is, how do you build a successful email marketing team? Right. So as businesses grow and they recognize the value of email marketing, the obvious two choices are to outsource it to someone like you or to try and develop it inside. So if you don't mind, and if you don't mind sharing, how would a company go ahead and go about building a very effective email marketing team?
So that's really the question that Win at e-commerce was built to answer. So when I was in my first company as director of marketing, trying to answer that question, we had two people doing email marketing. One person would set up, do the copy and design. The other person would schedule and send it out. So I think if you're a small business just starting out, it's really the founder, the CEO, the owner, the janitor. That person's got to do all of it. And it helps to learn the software as well while you're doing it. For a lot of people that are starting out, I recommend that you just start. The first step is to get that pop-up form on your website and collect the emails, even if you don't have a good sense of what the emails should be. So just get going. So in that case, that's the deal. But as you start growing, it's really important, I think, to get rid of email off the founder's plate and give it to somebody else. So, at that point is when you have to make a decision. Do you hire an agency or do you hire a person? Now, an agency, the range in prices go all over the place. We are kind of a mid-range priced agency, I'd say. We offer some crazy stuff that bigger agencies do at a fraction of the price, but we're still more expensive than somebody if you're just trying to find someone overseas to do it. My only warning would be at this next critical step would be a lot of people that we end up talking to hired someone overseas and had a really bad experience. And, you go to Upwork, you go to these websites, they talk good. They usually use templates and all that. You're just another cog in the wheel. And it's like the Flintstones, and you're just out there at the quarry, and you're just another, product being churned out. Was it Cogsley's Cogs or something? You're just getting churned out like crazy. And the people have a really poor experience with that. It would be ideal, I think, at that second stage, after the founder gets rid of it, to maybe find somebody that can wear multiple hats for you to do your email marketing, maybe your blogging, maybe some website, whatever it is, updating and all that, and just give them the email marketing hat and then have them go from there. But realize that person's going to be the jack of all trades and the master of none. And so as you grow your business, the way I grew mine and the way that I've always looked at these businesses are, you're kind of a generalist at first. And then as your company grows and gets bigger and the money, the revenue comes in, then you look at those areas of your business that make the most sense to invest in. And then you start finding like experts at each of those. I would posit by saying that it's very difficult to find a single person that can do all of the facets of email marketing well. Because graphic designers and copywriters, they're very creative sorts, and they're not always great at deadlines. So, that goes contrary to the project management side of it, to make sure the emails go out on time. And then those people might be good at being in the weeds and getting things done, the technician side of things, but not the strategy side of things. And then, that might all be good, but then they might have to sell some ideas and concepts and promotions and plans to, senior leadership. So to get all of those people together is really tough in one person for an affordable price. And that's why I think, an agency is kind of the only way to go. And the way that we position ourselves is kind of at that second person phase, or maybe even right after the founder phase, where we can jump in, do everything for you. And then if you have a person you want to have trained, or you want to bring that person up along to maybe take over some of the heavy lifting, and then, we work alongside of that person to ideate, strategize, and do all that stuff, we can do that. But, I think founder, kind of that generalist, and then from there is to hire each competency. And a lot of companies we talk to, Jimmy, they have a graphic designer that does Google ads, website design, and then email marketing. And then they have like a copywriter that writes blogs, but then also does copy in their emails. And what I have found is that works. But again, just because you can make a great image on a blog doesn't mean it translates at all to an email. There are specific aspects. Nonetheless, not the smallest of being dark mode. Like, how many people's phones go into dark mode at sunset, and all of a sudden now the email looks all janky because it wasn't solved for when you made the graphic. So there's just a lot of things, and that's kind of how I see the thing growing.
Thank you. You keep dropping what we refer to as gems, right? That was certainly a gem. The two that I written before were give them what they want and do what's right. Those are all gems, right? And we can take those gems and help make gems out of people by sharing that with them. I've got my own softball questions, so I'll lob that later. Kobe, do you have anything? Before?
Nah, he just blew my head up with just the dark mode email. I'm just like, wow, I didn't even consider that. That's crazy. So I'm just like, wow, I have a lot more to think about and do, but that's incredible. So I think it's time for shameless plugs, Jimmy.
I've got a lob first. How about you, Lloyd? Are you okay? Or?
I'm okay with the shameless plug. I did have one quick question, and again, we are running out of time because we want to give you some time to promote yourself. But my question goes to the heart of communication. Why does Florida always have a really, really good football team? The Hurricanes look good. Are they going to do well this year? There's always a Florida school that's up there. I know you were Florida State, but what's the story there?
It's the weather. So you can practice all year round. You're not stuck up north where it's frigid. You practice indoors. You're always outside. Thomas Aquinas down there in Southeast Florida pumps out a bunch of great kids in high school, and
Right.
it's a great place to go. And it helps that the other sex is quite attractive in Florida as well. That attracts a lot of football players as well. That was been my experience with the football players, but I don't want to talk about Florida State football right now. We're not in a good spot, so we can go on to the next question if you don't mind.
Hey, Lloyd, I think that your softball questions are getting a little softer because he knocked that one out of the park.
Yeah.
Well, Jimmy and I are both SC fans, so we're still afterglowing from beating LSU. So
You guys.
that's
And that was my softball question. I was going to start with, well, USC is ranked number 14 in the country. And I remember when the Florida State had some pretty good teams. What in the world happened?
No, my brother actually went to Ireland for the game last week against Georgia Tech. And
wow.
he thought that would be a lay down, easy win, and came back in tears. So
But I've been having a lot of fun with the UCLA fans. They barely beat Hawaii, so they won. They've been boasting, but it doesn't bode well for the season.
no.
So,
Jimmy, you want to take us out?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You want to take us out?
No. We still need to do shameless promotion. So this is our shameless promotion sector, and we just ask you. Obviously, you had, as I said, lots of gems to drop today. So if someone wanted to reach out to you and seek your service, how best do they do that?
Oh, perfect. Just hit our website. Go to winatecommerce.com. It's all spelled out like it is right there. And just to hit the contact us button and fill out the little form and talk to us. We work mostly with e-commerce brands. We can definitely help out lead generation companies and all that as well. And it's my dedication to all the listeners out there that I will definitely give you some gems about your email marketing on our call. You will be talking to me. And at the end of it, you'll walk away a little bit smarter. And, if we can't help you, I'll send you in the right direction to help yourself out. So love to talk to you all and help everyone out.
All gems.
And so again, it's win@ecommerce.com. They also have an Instagram page, also win at e-commerce, right?
Right.
They have a YouTube channel.
Same thing.
I guess we should throw that up there if we can, Kobe. And
I
same
need
with
the
Facebook,
exact-
same
yeah, I
with
would need
LinkedIn.
the
So they're all
exact
over
name.
the place.
I would need the exact name to put it up there.
Okay, so they're all over the place. So for our audience that's listening, please feel free to reach out to them. We look forward to someday in the hopefully not too distant future becoming clients of yours.
Sure.
You certainly have convinced all of us that that Win at E-commerce is the way to go. We truly appreciate your time. We truly appreciate you having been a guest on our show. As we discussed in the strategy session, I could tell from that session this was going to be a great show, and it truly has been. So thank you very much for that. Kobe, you want to take us out?
Yeah, with that, we got some people that's watching that haven't hit that like button. Hopefully you like us. Hit that button. It helps us grow. It helps the algorithm. Looking forward to joining your channel, Damon, and hopefully you'll join ours back, and we'll do some cross promotion there. But hey, we'll see everybody next week, same time, same channel. Great Employees Matter on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. See you guys next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay on with us.